Welcome back to the Freedom Kickstarter podcast. So today's guest is Phil Robertson. Now, the last time Phil and I were together was about 4 o'clock on a Sunday morning in the middle of Letchworth, and I was much sweatier and probably quite a bit stinkier than I am now as well. So I'm putting him under the bus here, but I'm going to let Phil explain exactly why that was.
I think you said enough, Mike. And you said there were some onlookers as well.
There were several onlookers,
sweaty, emotional. There's a lot of yeah. I don't know where we're going with this already, buddy. Well, thankfully and gratefully, you took part in my Flawed Hero Marathon. Second year, you were the first to finish, 3 hours 15, just under 3 hours 14 minutes. Signed up 5 days prior, and that's it. We had just under 100 people running the streets of Letchworth to raise close to £100,000 for Pancreatic Cancer UK. So yeah, the Flawed Hero Marathon, I think, is the most inclusive, supportive marathon in the world. So I was there waiting for you at the finish line, giving you a cuddle, and I was there for every single other person until Jack finished at 9 o'clock in the morning, gave him a big cuddle, and I'm sure we'll talk about him shortly.
Amazing. So yeah, tell us a bit more about the Flawed Hero Marathon, because people hear marathon and they know it's 26.2 miles. They've got an idea of what's involved, but I've done a fair few races over the last few years, and this was nothing like any of those. So yeah, tell us a bit more about it and kind of the backstory, the hero's journey of it, if you will.
I'm not really a running purist, that's the thing. So I've worked with the London Marathon for nearly 2 decades. A big part of what I've done in the last 15 years is run a charity stewardship. So I look after probably more London Marathon runners than anyone around, personally. I've probably got more runners on the start line of the London Marathon than anyone on the planet in the last, probably 12, 13 years. I've realised over those years, particularly with London Marathon, that it's not a running event as much as more a bucket list, glorified fun run, where it's about a bit of therapy. It's the biggest single-day fundraising event in the world. It's the biggest single-day therapy session in the world as well. And I think there's a lot of meaning behind it. And I think I've taken a lot of the values from when I worked at the London Marathon, when it was Flora, into creating this Flawed Hero Marathon. So it's still 26.2 miles. It's different. It's giving everyone a shot. So I think when people think marathon, they think, I can't do that. And my question is, why not? And I think we all set the bar a little bit too low. And I think everyone can realise we're capable and deserving of more. So I've taken all my learnings and created the Flawed Hero Marathon. The brand itself, Flawed Hero, came about 8 years ago. Single dad at the time. I picked up my daughter from school. She was 7 years old at the time. Yeah, she's 15 in a couple of weeks. So happy birthday, darling. And her teacher said, Mr. Robertson, can I have a word with you, please? And I said, of course. She said, we've just done a PSHE lesson in class, and the subject is around living longer in life. And the likelihood is a lot of us are going to get cancer. And that was delivered to a 7, 8-year-old. And I was like, oh, okay, quite a heavy topic, okay. And she said, but your daughter put her hand up and said, Miss, I won't get cancer. My daddy won't let me. And it was just like whoa, it got me. It gives you goosebumps now, really. I was like, oh, darling, I love you. There's things I can and can't do in life. And obviously delivered it in a way that a 7, 8-year-old child would receive it. But it made me realise that those of us that are lucky enough, choose to, in a position to, have to have children, they look at us like we're heroes. They do look at, we're perfect. And I think we're not. And I think in today's society and culture, where perfection is everywhere, heavily filtered 2-dimensional images online, I think there's too much pressure on being perfect, and we're not. But it doesn't mean we're broken. We don't need fixing. We're flawed. So back then I was like, oh, I'm a flawed hero to my daughter. So I was like, that's really cool. I don't know what I'm doing with it. So I trademarked it, put it to one side, and that was it. And then 2022, there was a marathon. That's right. I did a prostate walk. It was Jeff Stelling does a football march, 26.2 miles from football stadium to football stadium, and he stopped doing them until Bill Turnbull passed away through prostate cancer. And he's a big Wycombe Wanderers fan, and his family said, "Can you do one more, please?" So he organised it from Wembley to Wycombe. Now the significance of that was my dad had passed away 18 months prior, 2 weeks after my wedding. And he's the world's biggest Wycombe Wanderers fan, a big part of the club, and I just saw this opportunity it's like, the event spoke to me. And so I carried a big cardboard cutout of my dad from the home of football, Wembley, to my dad's footballing home of Wycombe. So that was kind of what I saw. And it was just beautiful. What I saw was men walking, talking. There's no ego, there's no time. That's my biggest issue with London Marathon. It's what time did you do? It's almost irrelevant for the majority of people. And I just saw massive therapy of men walking, talking. It was just amazing. And I was like, there's something to this. I just signed with the Nike Well Collective. It was a new initiative at the time where it was less about training performance. They wanted different coaches of different modalities to combine and spread wellness, which I loved. So signed up with Nike. In the October after this marathon, there was a launch party. It was at Nike HQ in Amsterdam, and I was 200 people. I was the first time in my life I was in a minority group of white man over 40, and I loved it. I appreciated it. But then all the music goes off, and they said, we're the Nike Well Collective. We're here for her. And this big screen came on. It was just images of women in crop tops and shorts and socks and Nike and matching outfits. And I was like, I see. I know what we're doing here. It's and I remember the month before where I saw these guys wearing the same shorts they probably worn for 30, 40 years. It just didn't speak to me quite right. So I sat on that all weekend. And then I landed back from Amsterdam on the Monday, and I just thought, I need to get more men exercising and talking. I just started speaking to Movember as well about men's suicide. I was like, there's a need for more men to exercise and talk. And I thought, right, I'm going to combine that with an event I know very, very well, which is the London Marathon, who since COVID have done a GPS event called My Way, which you can do anywhere in the world. On the day of the London Marathon, you have 24 hours to do it via app, and you get a London Marathon medal. So I just put a post up saying, I will be at the Broadway Cinema in Letchworth at midnight. If you're a man, I haven't forgotten about you. Wherever your backstory is, we've got this. And that was it. We had 40 guys. We had Jack with cerebral palsy take part. We had Michael with multiple sclerosis. We had all these guys, and it was brilliant. Called the Flawed Hero Marathon. So it came back to me. This whole Flawed Hero thing came back to me, and that was it. We raised £40,000 for charity, and I just thought, right, there's something in this. And so then I just went down the routes of creating the Flawed Hero Marathon, and which you took part in, and finished at 3 hours, 14 minutes, sweaty and emotional on the streets of Letchworth. So
I love it. So you talk about the idea that it's the world's most inclusive marathon. I think inclusivity now is kind of a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot, and people have all different connotations, whether it is positive or negative. So what does that kind of mean to you, really?
We're all the same, and you'd have seen this. We had just under 100 people, and on that start line, it was full of people that never thought they were capable, deserving of doing a marathon. It was just, we've all got our struggles, we've all got our problems. We don't share them as much as we probably should do, but we're all capable of doing things. And that was always my take. I can have anyone pretty much within reason in the world take part in my event and have it completed before the fastest people on the planet have stepped foot in Blackheath. So for me, it's realizing that we're deeper than just on the outside, and it's giving people a shot. You saw the amazing Stephen Salmon in a wheelchair take part. He then got the train to London, did the London Marathon. We had Jack with cerebral palsy. We had Adam with stage 4 incurable cancer. We had Michael come back with multiple sclerosis after him having another 6 months of stem cell treatment. We had Yvette Churchman, community lead at Morrison's in a mobility scooter. She'd go around when it ran out of juice, she'd plug it in the pub. She's got crippling arthritis, and she'd hobble off, come back round, get on a scooter, and off she'd go again. So it's helping people set the bar that they never thought they'd be able to achieve. And the other beauty of it is, the other issue I've got with London Marathon, these events, is you have the highest of highs, and it's amazing. Running down the mile and getting that, you cross that finishing line and that medal, it's an amazing high. But what comes up will come down, and this post-marathon blues is very, very real. An event where they're pushing massive numbers and 56,000 people and hundreds of thousands of people cheering you on, it's hard to replicate that high moment. When you do an unsupported midnight marathon Letchworth, you don't get that high. You get that ego high, maybe. You get more of that self-worth, that resilience. What else am I capable of? So inclusivity to me just means giving everyone a shot. We're all the same. We've all got our past and our stories. Are we letting those stories we tell ourselves dictate us, hold us back, or can we change them a little bit and move forward?
I guess that's something that sport can really do. Like, I know more from the trail running community, but I've been amazed at how, people with different political leanings, different backgrounds, men and women, so many different people just come together for a shared enjoyment of something. And it's almost like nothing else really matters at that point. And I say this more as an outsider to the sort of road marathon scene, but it feels like that maybe because of the glamour and the glitz around big events like London, maybe that gets lost sometimes with those events, where actually the more raw events, whether it is like trail running or whether it's something like the Flawed Hero Marathon, it feels like that embodies that inclusivity and that idea of community a bit more.
It's shared purpose. It's that collectiveness of we're all the same. but collectively we can be so much more. So yeah, I'm just, again, it's only second year. I put it together randomly last year. This year was the first year it was course measured, permitted, and all the rest of it. I never ever planned on doing events. I've got no interest in being an event planner, but somehow these puzzle pieces fall together, and you see actually that you can make a massive difference to people's lives.
Run us through the logistics of it as well. So maybe a slightly more boring question, but to me, if you said to me, right, you've got to put on a midnight marathon from somewhere, I'd be like, I can barely plan my diary for next week for myself. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. So what's the learning experience been like, and kind of what's it look like behind the scenes as well?
A lot of work. It's just relentless work. There are people whose job it is to measure courses. So that's their job. So I had a great course measurer who I've got to have conversations with for next year, just to quantify a few things. But he came, we measured the route. You got to speak to the council, you've got to get permits, you've got to get land licenses, insurance, all the boring stuff that I'm not really, acquainted to do. But anyway, I've learned a lot, put it that way, but it's just a lot of work. And then try and bring the community together. So people that live locally, I've got them free gym membership. We had, as you know, we had a HQ, we had a hotel restaurant open all night for us exclusively. It's a loop-based marathon. So actually, one thing, it's really important to be safe. I've got to think about the weather, all of it. We had 2 pubs stay open all night for us as well. Just a lot of work. I just talk to people. I was going to pretty much every shop and every business and go, this is what I'm doing. Can you help? Do you want to help? This, and that's it. I think that's how we grow things. So a lot of effort. And yeah, just cracking on.
Did you get any pushback or anything that particularly surprised you?
No, I was okay with it. It was just signing people up. It was just a relentless, again, I've had a website, like I said before, for about 14 years, I don't think. So signing people up was me just talking at people, waiting for them to say, oh, I can't do a marathon, me questioning that, mentioning some of the people who have taken part, and then almost positioning them to say no or yes. Because unless I get a no, I will kind of continue to prod a little bit. So it's just time consuming without the social proof. Whereas this year, it's for me to get the videos up, photographs up, testimonials and things, which make a massive difference in that for next year.
Well, I guess sometimes with a sales standpoint, there's definitely a downside to not having like that, whether it's a website, a sales funnel, like you say, all the social proof, but also it kind of goes back to the roots of selling a bit, I think. And a lot of the time people they probably prefer to be sold to like that, because it is that conversation. As you say, you are saying, you're nicely challenging their preconceived notions of I can't do it. And then, as we know, if someone signed up to it, they'll have had an amazing experience. They'll probably be very glad that you were there saying, actually, you probably can do it. And, you're probably just getting your own head about it.
It's a really good point. I didn't even think about it. My job was pretty much being a seller. That's pretty much what I was doing.
Admittedly, not overly scalable.
That's true. No, it's not time friendly in any way, shape or form, but I needed to do it. It's almost, I knew what the event would be for people, and the responses have been exactly what I thought they would be. But yeah, it was just not very time efficient. I spoke to every single person. I know their stories. Yeah, a lot of chasing, a lot of double blue ticks on WhatsApp. But I've put things in place for next year in terms of extending the reach. Website will be live in a couple of weeks. I'll have everything in place now. So the time I've spent on actually signing people up won't be there so much. I can then think about delivery, the marketing and other bits and pieces, the support.
And you mentioned something that I find quite interesting, which is the post-event low as well. I've had that probably to a degree after every event I've done. I remember I went and did race across Scotland last year, and it was really kind of quite, maybe severe is too strong a word, but I remember just the feeling of flatness for about 2 weeks after that. I thought I'd cross the finish line and be cheering, and it's one of these things where you're not expecting hundreds of people. You're expecting a race official, a photographer, maybe some random bloke with a dog who's come out for the evening. But I thought I'd feel brilliant afterwards and super pumped, and it was just that feeling of like, oh, that's done. What's next? Really? Is there anything that you found that can kind of combat that? Is it like booking another event? Is it having a community around you? Like anything people can do when they do have those post-event blues?
So it's both those things. I think I've learned that from London Marathon. It's this highest of highs. The amount of people that don't put on their trainers for months. So they'll do the marathon, they'll be riding a wave, have the low points, they'll be told not to do much and rest up. And that resting 1 or 2 days or a couple of weeks turns into months. They then go, right, enough now. I've been eating, and also when you're low, there's that comfort eating, your input doesn't match your output anymore. And then you put on those short shorts, which are now significantly shorter and tighter. you put on those trainers and you can't run down the road, and you suddenly think to yourself, what on earth? I ran a marathon, a month, 2 months ago. Now what? And I think it then spirals. So I think it's having that community of what's next. I think what's next is always the important question. I think it's being kind to yourself, learning from the experience, but then going, right, what is next? It doesn't have to be anything major. It doesn't have to be a marathon. It could be just a 5K, 10K, a hike. It doesn't matter. You just need to keep the ball rolling. You got to, and in life, I think we all need exercise in our life. If you're busy, you've got to find time for it. It's where the events come in. So the back of the Flawed Hero Marathon, I set up the Flawed Hero Movement. It's a CIC at the moment. I'll look to turn that into a charity in 2027. But it's essentially that. It's. I think we all need events to focus on. It doesn't have to be marathon. If running's not your thing, it's all good. Pick an event, get other people to do it with you, and raise money for charity. Because once you've got those ingredients, you're then motivated to do things, you're disciplined, and you're accountable. And then you go again, you keep on going and keep on raising your bar, challenging yourself. And I think raising money is really important. Because I think, all these events, and the thing I've learned with London and Flawed Hero is you commit to something, it gives you a North Star and a focus to change your own life. That's the easy bit. An event is the easy bit. It's dialing into it and actually doing the process better. That's the learnings, and that's what gets you there. But then, it's just what's next. It's just getting other people to do things with you.
I think from a broader perspective, you talked about kind of exercise and like these weren't your exact words, kind of making it part of everything and sort of being active and in a community. It often amazes me how people are kind of resistant to that. And I get it, because exercise has certain connotations, and maybe someone did it at school and didn't like it, had a bad PE teacher, they weren't good at sports, they were picked last. But to me, it's almost like any form of activity is kind of like this miracle drug to an extent. It's like if you feel crap and you go and even train for 20 minutes doing something, you're almost guaranteed to feel better afterwards. And I'm surprised that more people don't do it, really. I know that when I don't train for whatever reason, I feel flatter, I feel less productive, I feel sluggish, feel more miserable. And I think it's about encouraging people to go, do you know what? I can't, maybe I don't have time, or it doesn't feel like I've got time for exercise at the moment. I'm going to make time for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, whether it is running, whether it is, some yoga, whether it's lifting weights in the gym, paddle, pickleball, whatever you want to do. To me, it's the ultimate kind of productivity and happiness hack that there is out there, really.
I completely agree. I think it's prescription based. It's free to an extent. And I think you've got to be kind to yourself, but not flaky kind. I think you really got to listen to your body, but not always the excuses that we tell ourselves. Life is really stressful. And I think exercise can either be a de-stressor or stress you out more. So I think there's other components and other modalities to look at. It's not just about training hard, sprinting hard, running hard. I think there's different ways to bring wellness into your life in terms of controlling stress. There's loads of great tech out there. I'm massively into kind of the biohacking space as well. I've got a mild hyperbaric chamber at home. Love red light therapy, infrared sauna, cold water immersion, grounding. All this stuff is brilliant, but they're all prescription based. I use them to know how I feel and really dialing into what does my body need.
That's something I wanted to touch on actually, was the biohacking. So someone's brand new, maybe they're like kind of eating healthily, kind of doing a bit of training. They want to get into that stuff and it seems like all cool and exciting and new and everything, but probably a bit overwhelming. Where should they start with something like that?
I think, nature has the answer. We can do a lot of this good stuff for free. If we can wake up better, look at our sleep hygiene, if we can take our shoes and socks off and ground better, if we can do cold water immersion, more importantly, the breath work that's associated with it, you can hack your body's response. I think there's such a wonderful relationship between the ability to change your psychology through changing your physiology. And that for me is what biohacking is. So you can do it without any tech. It's for free. But then there's some great tech out there. There are vagal nerve stimulators. There's obviously contrast therapy. It's massive at the moment. But again, they're all stresses. A lot of this stuff is stressful on the body. So it's, are you giving your body the input to match the output? So yeah, I just start researching. Like I said, everyone's different. I think you've got to understand that the basics is the most important thing. What you're ticking off. The number one thing would be looking at your sleep hygiene, for sure.
Which I think sounds very easy to do, but I know from first-hand experience, when you're there at 10:40 in the evening and you've still got half a Netflix show to go and you're downstairs and upstairs feels like quite a long way away, yeah, it's not always the easiest. And I think sometimes a lot of us, particularly if you're into exercise, doing the hard stuff is actually easier than doing the simple things like going to bed, which maybe that's just me, but I've certainly found, if you say to me, we've got a 2-hour workout on the cards, cool, happy to go and do that because I'll sweat and I'll hurt and I'll feel great at the end of it. You say to me, I want you in bed by 10 o'clock. It's probably a 9 out of 10 chance it's not happening.
Yeah, you're incredibly resilient. I think it depends on where you are in your life. If you've got big stresses that are going on, you've really got to prioritize that. Otherwise, you just spiral, and everyone's got a breaking point.
So what might, and this will, I'm sure it will vary, what might a daily routine look like for you in terms of the biohacking and health optimization stuff?
I'm up early. I try to not be on my phone straight away. I get up, I get sunlight. I will often take my shoes and socks off and get outside barefooted and look at some breathing. I've got a reverse osmosis water machine as well. So I'll have water, I'll add electrolytes within that. And that's it. And then from there on, it's right, what's now? I might go on the red light panel. I will, and then that's it. I'm on with my day then. It depends on what I'm doing. And then every single day, I'm either going to be training, strength training, running, walking, dog walking. I might go in the chamber. I might do contrast therapy. I might just go solely in the sauna. It just depends, buddy. It just depends. But I will do something every single day. Otherwise, I think I'd lose my mind. And sometimes it might be some meditation work. You know, I've got a product called Brain Tap, which sends in blue and red light into your optic nerve, whilst Dr. Patrick Porter speaks into your ear and it taps into that subconscious part of your brain. So I often do some meditation there. So I might do some yoga nidra to recharge my body. I might have a little sleep. I just find 20 minutes on there, in the afternoon, I don't need that coffee. I know I can recharge my body better and then finish the day strong.
I've always found it's one of those things where, and I get that sort of people have different priorities, but for me, it's like someone might say, oh, I don't have half an hour to do that. And I think, but I know that when I don't train, I'm less productive. I think if I make myself have half an hour, I'm probably going to save at least that, if not more, like an hour to 90 minutes elsewhere in the day. And I think that's why I kind of put exercise almost as a non-negotiable. Like, unless there has to be a day when I've got so much work on and so much other stuff that just I can't possibly fit any in at all, I'm like, no, I'd rather, do a bit in the day, because I know that, outside of that, I'm going to work faster, be more focused. I won't sort of be typing on the laptop and then lose my point and then be looking at my phone, doom scrolling. It's like, I think if you're not doing that, I would just say try for a couple of weeks, try squeezing in 20 minutes of training, and you're probably going to find that you save back 40 minutes for every 20 minutes you spend. I was going to say in the gym, not even in the gym, just being active, really.
Totally agree. It's the doom scrolling. I think when you say we can't find time, we all can. These phones are designed by people far smarter to keep us on there than our willpower not to go on them.
I remember hearing an interview with the guy who he came up with the concept for the infinite scroll, and he said that he feels incredibly guilty for it, because he's like, that's probably the one thing that means people don't put them down. He's like, if you had to click a button to go to the next page on your social media, people probably wouldn't spend nearly as much time on them. But it is just that repetitive motion that never stops.
Never stops.
Like, it never runs out. Just, actually quite terrifying. So talk to us about the background then. You said earlier about, being involved in London Marathon for ages. I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but kind of put most people on the start line for...
Yep. So sports science was my background. One of my first jobs ended up at a company called realbuzz.com, who were the online partner of the London Marathon. So I worked in Marathon House from 2005 to 2008. Lots of strong relationships with charities. And then in 2009, when I left, one charity said to me, it was March. They said, we've got the London Marathon next month. Our trainers let us down. Could you come and talk to our running team, please? I said, of course. So I went down there and, hey guys, you've got a marathon next month. How can I help? And everyone put their hands up. Bad hip, bad back, knee problem. I was like, okay, you're going to have to go and see someone. But you could have done this, and this, smugly kind of. So I went down, I wanted to understand why. Then the charity told me that between 20 and 25% of people that signed up 6 months prior wouldn't make the start line, but 99% of people that crossed the start line will cross the finishing line. That didn't make sense to me. So then obviously started working on the system. So back then and even now, a runner would sign up for a charity and they would be given a generic training plan, a 60-week training plan by a running coach who loves running for a runner, a running vest, and back then a paper sponsorship form. That was stewardship, and hence why people weren't making the start line. So I started looking into this, and charities were given places in kind of October time, giving them this 16-week training plan to start in January. I was like, well, what about this window of time? So why can't we just start giving education back here? So let's get some foundations in place. And who are these individuals? They're not people who love running. Generally, they're not. They're bucket list people, and so I created a concept called Performance, trademarked that. So it was all looking at the foundations of health. So looking at getting solid foundations in place, ready for a 16-week progressive training plan from January. So looking at mobility, strength and conditioning, nutrition, all the basics in place. Again, ready to crack on with 16-week training plan. So that worked really successfully. And my charities were getting single-figure digit dropout rates. So we're getting down to 8.9%, 6% dropout rates by just understanding who are these people and let's bring everything back. And over the years, developed that, worked with more charities. I probably worked with about 2,000 London Marathon runners this year. Just to understand people. I'm not saying I'm the best running coach in the world, because I'm not. But I understand the individual, I understand people, and I understand what wellness is. And it's a game of, for me, the London Marathon is all about game of stress control. It's, are you matching your input versus your output? What's your honest starting point? We touched on this before the podcast, but it was I'm now battling the algorithm-based training apps that are out there, which there's a place for them for sure, but I'd question whether they're right for first-time London Marathon charity runners.
Yeah, it's something that I think both the AI programs and also some coaches as well. And I think every coach who's out there is trying to do their best, especially in the running world. But I know people who I look at their training plans, and I also know how much they work and how stressed they are. And I think I'm just not sure that's good for you. And it'll be like, oh, they'll check in with their coach, and their coach still says, oh, you go out and do, put in 100K this week. And you're like, that's a lot of running when you've just told me in the last run that your knee's hurting, your hip feels beaten up, you only slept 4 hours last night. It's like, that's where I really think we need to have the human element, and we need to look at it more as again, it's a bit of a buzzword, but in a more of a holistic way. Like, I think particularly runners are so inclined just to run. And it's like, oh, if I'm hurt, I'll just run a bit more. If I'm not fast enough, I'll run a bit more. And you're like, there's other things you can do as well. But so, yeah, I totally get you on that in terms of, you need to look at the human, you need to look at the whole, because for me, that's the missing element, particularly in running, where, we're not strength training, we're not looking at nutrition. I think running's quite behind a lot of other sports in some of that. I don't know if that's just my experience or if you've sort of seen anything like that at all.
Totally agree with that. Runners love to run. And for me, again, London Marathon is not a running event, and that's controversial, but it is what it is for me and who I deal with. It's not. The issue I've got is you are populating people's lives with these algorithm-based training apps. They've got no consideration into your training history, your current situation now, the why you are doing it, your stress levels, all the rest of it. I just think, running is really stressful. Training can be really stressful. So if your life's stressful, you're adding stress on top of that, it's not a great formula. It is for a weakened immune system or chances of getting a significant injury. And on that, one of the guys on a running app I spoke to him 2 weeks ago broke his femur. He's one of these apps, and he felt pressure. He goes, I felt this niggle in my thigh. I just thought I'd keep running through it. And I was on for a sub 3 because the app told me I could do a sub 3, even though it was one of the hottest marathons on record, where ego needs to take it back seat and you need to change what your expectations are of that race. But anyway, mile 16, he woke up and the police are around him. He's broken his femur.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. But this is where, it's the human connection piece that we're lacking. And I think it's where good coaches will really understand the individual. Who is this person? How stressful is their life? Why are they doing this? Why are you giving an app and training performance techniques to people? Why are you giving a 60-year-old lady whose husband died of bowel cancer last year an app to put pressure on, do threshold training and tempo sessions and all the rest of it? And actually, if you look at it, it's a glorified fun run. And I said before to you, it's not about the how. We get so caught up in how to do stuff. Well, the how is one foot in front of the other, and take time out of the equation. That's fine. It's the why. It always comes back to the why. Why are you doing this? So it's who's the human? Why are you doing this? Why is this important to you? Cool. How is your life? Tell me a bit more about you. What's going on? Cool. Let's formulate this. This is what I think is important to you. Walk, run. Look at your training load. How's your recovery? Here's some great strength work, which will help supplement what you're doing. Away you go.
What would you say to someone who maybe struggles to define their why? Because I know that for me, I can think of a few reasons why I do stuff, but it doesn't feel like there's one overarching, North Star type reason. Is there a process you would go through with someone where you can help define that at all?
It's a tricky one. I think I'm fortunate enough because, again, I work in the charity sector where children with cancer, or it's whiz kids who provide mobility for disabled children, or pancreatic cancer or something. So the why is quite easy to find. I think it's just to be a better human or optimize or raise your own bar. Yours is like, what else am I capable of? Or you using, exercise as a way of, control of the brain of yours. It's to see things differently. I think you don't regret training or exercising or working out. The why doesn't have to be that profound, but it's just, you probably just enjoy it.
I think that's a big thing because we make so much of this why, and yeah, it's a really good marketing tool for people as well. But I've sort of, almost for me, the why is like, why not? Because I'm physically and mentally capable, and it's quite cool to do this kind of thing. And I think I've certainly found myself in the past going like, is that enough? Or like, should I have this big thing of like change the world and do all that kind of stuff? But it seems like you're saying actually whatever gets you to go out and do
Mike,
it.
you're a bit of an outlier in that, though. You just understated crack on. I think you sit somewhere a little bit different in this. I think you're not the typical person that I would interact with on finding the why and just supporting people, because you're obviously very, very disciplined and motivated and are just a different level of athlete as well.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. So let's say someone's coming to you, they're 16 weeks out from a marathon, maybe dabbled a tiny bit in training, but not done a whole lot. What would your process be to get them ready?
Understand their current level of fitness. Where are you at right now? Do a bit of a SWOT analysis of kind of who you are right now. It's irrelevant if you say, well, I used to run, when I was 14 years old, I was cross-country school champion. It's irrelevant. It's where are you right now? When was the last long run you did? It would be looking at kind of benchmarking your body. So I send all my guys a document on how to benchmark their bodies. So looking at kind of areas of biomechanical dysfunction. So a list of exercises people can do at home, give them a score on, calf, quad, glutes, hamstrings, core strengthening, and give them something to work with. It's kind of where's your body at right now? Do these exercises to help supplement your training load, which will help reduce your chances of getting injured, make your running more efficient, etc. So it's a case of, right, what's your training history been like recently? What are your goals? And let's work through them. Then it's individually basis, but it's who are you right now? What is your body saying? How can you sensibly increase training load over those 14 weeks before you taper?
Is there anything that most runners or most running plans are missing generally?
You alluded to it, strength work. It's strength work and sensible recovery. I think there is, I think there's a lot of focus right now, particularly with these apps, to do a lot of the threshold interval, which is brilliant. It's really great if your body is capable and has the foundations in place and you've got previous training history. Apart from that, stay clear. The most important thing for people is progressive overload sensibly, making sure you match the input, sleep, good nutrition. But yeah, I think a lot of these training plans don't take into consideration proper nutrition either.
Yeah, and I certainly know from my experiences that even, sort of been running fairly consistently for the last 4 or 5 years now, if there's one thing that's going to set my Achilles off on my knee, it will be interval stuff. And it doesn't even have to be a lot. It can be, a session of 6 lots of 3-minute hill sprints, and the next day it can be throbbing. And I think, as we said before, a lot of people will just push through that because they're like, oh, no pain, no gain. And
the training plan told me to do this, right?
Yeah. And it's, in one sense, I love that, David Goggins, I'm going to do what's needed to get it done. But I also think there's a time and a place for that. And the time for that is when you're in your A race and you're halfway through and it's like, well, you're going to regret this massively if you don't finish it. The time when it's not that time is when you're training, trying to get fitter, yet you've got that, 9 out of 10 pain. You're like, nope, need to keep going because it's going to go on Strava later and everyone's going to see if I quit, which, yeah, I get it, but it's just, I think that's something we need to find a happy medium of, where like, no, it's not being flaky to cut a session short, to take an extra rest day, to, I've had it before where probably a few years ago, I'd wake up at 5 o'clock to go run, absolutely exhausted. Now I've slept like crap all week and would go and do it anyway. Now I think I'm a bit more mature in the fact I go, okay, how do I actually feel? Am I just a bit tired and I can get out? Or is it a case of, no, an extra 90 minutes in bed is going to do more good than a 10K run, let's say?
That's taking learning though. That takes experience. I think it's getting that message across to people. We had a chat beforehand about kind of wearables and stuff. There's some great wearable technology out there which kind of looks at kind of HRV and recovery and sleep scores and this sort of thing. So it's mirroring those things up. I think it's being able to really ask yourself, how do I feel today? Do I need to listen to my body or the excuses? Which one is it? And then you need to act on that. Or you look at technology, you look at the Whoops, the Auras, the Ultra Humans, you look at the Garmins, and you understand recovery on top of how you feel. I think that you don't want technology to tell you how you're feeling. It's going back to these apps as well. And pressures on Strava where you're right, people will push through for PBs and otherwise people will judge you for not being able to perform. And actually you got to be okay with that. So I think it's a conversation with ego, yourself, and not caring what people think. And that's quite tricky.
Is there anything else you'd like to see in the marathon world in terms of whether that's like better race organisation, better participation, just better messaging?
I think London Marathon massive this year. They broke the world record. 56,000 people took part. I think it's too many. I think it's too many people. I think the running boom's enormous right now. Brands are recognising this, and it's pound signs everywhere. It's every man and their dog. And coffee shop have got a running club, which is great. It's a great exercise, great modality. But I think it comes to the point where 56,000 people, at what point does it become dangerous? Because you've got the running purists who are moaning about not being able to, get a PB or there's too many people on course. And actually with that many people, at what point is it sensory overload? I'd always encourage people to not wear headphones in the London Marathon because you want people to cheer your name and soak up the atmosphere. But I know people are now, because there's so many people, they just want to put the headphones in to stop people shouting their name because it's too much for people. So I think for me, when I first started the London Marathon, there were 30,000 people taking part. Now 56,000 people. At what point do you need to stop pushing and actually bring it down a little bit and maybe do over 2 days? Maybe there's a need to do the charity fun run side of things that I love and more elite running club PB chases. I don't know. The other thing I'd like to see is some more storytelling. For me, I find it really inspiring to hear people's stories. I want to know what gets people going. I actually put my own life into perspective, and again, going back to my Flawed Hero Marathon, it's full of people that never thought they could do it, and it's going around and seeing Jack and seeing these other people, you're like, well, God, it just inspires me. So I think more storytelling, I think more honesty with people, and the realization that we are capable of more than we think we are. I think raising the bar, and I think the majority of us are capable of doing a marathon. Give it a whirl, raise money for charity and to do it, or run 200 miles of nutrition, all crazy stuff. But again, you've got a certain bar. I think you've got to be realistic with where you're at right now, and just play around with your own life, push yourself.
I've certainly seen it from the guys that I run with, all kind of trail runners and whatnot, massive variety of backgrounds. We've got people who do sort of jobs similar to mine, like they're sat on a laptop all day. We've got people who are police officers. We've got like tradies, construction company owners, scaffolders. We've got ex-addicts, a lot of people in there have gone through like 12-step programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, that kind of thing. It's such a mix of people. But what you see is because the bar in there, everyone wants to keep raising the bar higher. Like some of the stuff people have done is nuts. So we've got a guy doing his first 100 miler in about 3 weeks. He only went for his first run like Boxing Day before last. So 15 months ago, he had never run before that. And it's now doing a 100 miler. I think, as you say, when you get around people like that, and to me, that's almost the problem, is maybe people aren't around those kinds of people day to day. They're maybe in an office with people who go, oh, why do you want to run a marathon? Any weird people go and run marathons. Or they've got a partner who goes, oh, well, the Sundays are busy. You can't do a marathon because you can't do your long run on a Sunday because we need family time, which obviously is important. But for me, being around people who lift you up and who almost go, like, challenge you and call you out on your crap when you say, oh, I can't do that. And they're like, no, you can do it. What's stopping you? I think for me, it's almost a societal thing whereby we need to be around people who go to us, no, you are capable of more, you can go and do it.
Love that. Yeah, I completely agree. Have you found anyone there's also that other side of things where it becomes almost like an identity and can be a problem, particularly if people that's their thing now. They're getting all this validation, a pat on the back by, God, you're a savage, well done, and almost lifted up too much. Then when they get sick or hopefully injured or something, then what happens? I mean, you've then got the community to look after them, but actually when something means so much and they're getting a lot of kudos on Strava and on Instagram or Facebook or whatnot, that becomes addictive. Yeah. And that's when I see a lot of things going on. Have you, anyone you guys in your group that happens with?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. I think we have that thing of like, oh, I'm going to come off Strava for a bit because I can't take it emotionally when someone's injured. Or, as you said, it is just that pushing through an injury and making it really bad because they can't not do it. And it's something I've tried to be conscious of not having an identity as one singular thing because it's very easy to fall into that. But yeah, I agree. There's like that. There's the other side of the coin as well, whereby it's amazing being around people who lift you up. But at the same time, as you say, if you suddenly then feel like, oh, well, I'm down here and everyone else is up here, yeah, you can end up doing some damage or end up feeling pretty depressed as well, really.
It's a fine line. It's a juggle.
Yeah.
ego juggle, but again, you got to find your fellow weirdos is what
I think that's probably a pretty good way to put it, for definite. Yeah. So in terms of kind of the marathon scene as well, is there anything that, and maybe kind of alluded to it earlier, but anything you think that like you dislike about the mainstreamism, is that a word? Like, the constant pushing of marathons. You mentioned like the money aspect, that kind of thing. Anything else where you feel like, no, that's not how it should be, or we could do that a lot better?
I think so. Again, I'm old school London Marathon. I'm Flora back, I'm old school Flora, flying the flag still. I worked in Marathon House. I saw how it was back then. I'm a little bit detached from it now. But it's definitely the business side of things is creeping in a little bit, and I won't go into too many details on here. But it's just I'm seeing things that I don't necessarily like. The values have changed. Maybe I'm stuck in the dark ages a little bit, but I just think I don't know. There's a few things that are going on which I don't like massively, but that's all good. I can see the reasons why. That's not my why.
Well, I think I wrestle with this a bit because I'm very pro free market capitalism, but even I see things like, the insane cost of some of the shoes now. And someone was telling me that Adidas have brought out a shoe that's supposedly a single-use marathon shoe, that it's got a certain type of carbon fiber plate in it that is designed to basically like degrade after about 35, 40 miles. So, you do your warm-up run in it, you do your marathon, you ditch it. And I think I'm hardly the biggest, climate change activist in the world. Like, I drive a car that's creates its own hole in the ozone layer. But even I look at something like that and go, that doesn't seem right to be putting that kind of thing out there. Or, I was looking for a new pair of shorts the other day. You've got running shorts like 80, 90 quid. Like, for a pair of shorts, it's mad. And the market will decide, but I don't know, that just sits a bit uncomfortably with me, I think.
They know what they're doing though. It's so smart though. However, like they say never to practice anything new on race day. Why on earth would anyone get a 1-use, 2-use trainer? It doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's the thing. There's sexy technology out there. I love tech. My degree was in sports and material science, so understanding technology was what I love to do. So I love all the footwear aspects, but it's just massive. It's just business brand and finding that extra few percent when actually could we get a bigger return on sleeping better, getting the basics in place, strength and conditioning, all the rest of it? I'd say probably so.
Yeah, and I guess people look for that like sexy solution, the one that everyone's talking about on social media, and yeah, we overlook as we said at the start, the very basics, your sleep, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, which, as we know, that's the sort of building block, but everyone wants.
You can't put that on Instagram though, bud. Yeah. You can't put that. You put those lovely one-use carbon plated trainers.
That is entirely true. So what's the plan for Flawed Hero Marathon in the future? I know you've got kind of big plans for it, but have you thought kind of a year, 5 years, 10 years ahead? Like what's the future?
For next year, yeah, it's bigger plans. Big plans. I'm not, again, I don't want to shoot too high at the moment. I just know I've got something that's very meaningful. I believe the brand will speak to people. It's going to raise, I think next year, at least £250,000 is my goal for charity. I'm aiming for 300 people of all shapes, sizes, background stories, all of it. I just want a beautiful group of people, those that run hard, those that want to walk the whole thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It's all people bettering themselves and changing the lives of others through fundraising. I'm probably going to do like a wellness weekend as well, get the kids mile in the morning. I might do a 5K the day before. I might even bully you into doing the Flawed 24-hour event on the same day. So I'm toying with a few things at the moment. The priority at the moment is just knuckling down and nailing what 2026 looks like. So working on the reach. So I'll be working directly with charities. They've got the reach of people, and that's it. So I've got conversations with a number of people at the moment. And for me to make it properly inclusive and supportive, people can raise money for whoever they want to raise money for, because it's important. It goes back to that why. Once people understand, okay, I'm raising money for this, and people tell people why, the fundraising spirals up. So that's one big change. People can raise money for whoever they want to raise money for next year. Everyone has to fundraise, and we're going to raise a lot of cash and again, have more. Again, you saw it this year. It was under the radar, and it's just a great event. And I've got plans of how it will kind of evolve. And going forward, look, it's a brand that I think can go. It doesn't have to be a marathon at midnight. It could be anything. So I think you can go all around the world. Is what I think.
And in terms of the fundraising aspect, if someone wants to get involved in fundraising a bit more, obviously doing an event like that is a great way to start. Is there anything else you'd recommend for people? Because a lot of people have a lot of different things they would like to support. Is there what's the best way into fundraising, do you think?
Yeah, picking a cause close to your heart and self-donating is probably the most important thing as well. So pick a platform, a fundraising platform. My go-to will be GoFundMe because they've been absolutely exceptional for me this year and support for next year. Self-donate, tell people why you're doing it, put your own money down to show you're committed to doing it, and tell your story. So if it's a running event, share the ups and downs. Tell people when it's, if it's raining, pouring with rain, you hate in your life, share that. Don't just put the good stuff in there. People want to see pain. People will give you money if they see you struggling and being real. I think people nowadays want something in return for their hard-earned cash. Every single day you're getting people asking you for money. You got to put events on, quiz nights, gatherings, curry nights. It doesn't matter. It's getting people together, fundraising together. I think it's those micro communities that you can grow. That's the best thing to do.
Love that. I think just from my perspective of doing it and doing other, I was going to say similar events, they're all different in their own right, but I think it is that idea as well that a lot of people are have some nerves and anxiety around getting involved in something like this. And as we said, whether it's the fundraising aspect or the event as a whole, I think just people should know how welcoming it all is. Often people worry with marathons, with ultras, whatever it is, with 10Ks, that people are going to be very elitist. And I'd say that's the vast minority, to be honest. And I think actually for me, the longer distance you go, the less elitist people are as well. I think people just need to get rid of some of that fear and just kind of.
It's all learning. What's the worst that can happen? I'm not running purist. My event, it won't be. It's people that can run, but it's not about that. 26.2 miles is more than a marathon distance. Doing it right changes lives.
I think people also forget that actually the percentage of the population who run is very small. The percentage of that population who run marathons is even smaller. Like, you might feel like, oh, well, I'm in the bottom 20% of everyone who did this run tonight, but you're still in the top 1%, if not probably like top 0.5% of the population by doing 100%. That. So you kind of need to go out a bit from just that race bubble, which is amazing, but it can make you feel slightly less than, and just look at the whole thing of going, well, how many other people are up at 2:00 in the morning running laps around Letchworth? Not very many.
Exactly that. No, completely. And that's the thing, buddy. And it's raising that bar. We are capable of so much more. And at very worst, it's a power walk. One of the guys walked in 5 hours, 45 minutes. Savage. Most people will be happy with that, saying they ran a time. And that's the other thing. People that run the London Marathon, biggest pet peeve is you have the best day of your life, you get your medal, you're full of pride. Monday morning, stairs are a problem. And the only thing people ask you is, how quick did you do it? And it doesn't matter what number you give them, the same answer will be a slight head to the side. Oh, that's all they say. They just go, oh, because they don't go back to it. They haven't done it. So they don't understand. Unless you've done it in under 4 hours, you're a failure. Or some guy did it under 2 hours. It doesn't matter. That's why we've got to get away from that time metric, being what that level of success is.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. You see that even more on the trails, when you can do a trail run that's got like 4,000 meters of elevation in a marathon distance, and you tell people it took you 6.5 hours, and they sort of shake their head in disgust. You're like, it was a bit more difficult than, yeah. But cool. So we shall wrap up with the final 5 in a moment. But first up, Phil, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to know about the Flawed Hero Marathon and the movement, where's the best place to go?
Yep, at Phil Robertson or at Flawed Hero Movement on Instagram. I will be adding other platforms shortly, but as I said at the start, I'm quite archaic. Website will be theflawedhero.com. imminently.
Love it. We should put all the links down in the description as well. We'll wrap up with the final 5 questions. So first one of the 5 is, if you could gift any business, copywriting, marketing or mindset book to someone, or we'll branch out to health book as well if you like, which one would it be and why?
The first thing that comes to mind is Key Person of Influence, Daniel Priestley. I think I'm revisiting that at the moment. I think it's a brilliant place for people to start or actually revisit now, because I think at this moment in time, it's probably even more valuable than it was when he first wrote it.
Yeah, I know we spoke about that off camera, and I think that was the second business book I read after the 4-Hour Work Week, and I'd put them both up there as, very good books. So I fully endorse that one. Question number 2, we're going for coffee and I'm buying. What's your order?
Flat white.
Nice and simple. Cool. Question number 3, you're in charge of the internet for a day and you can delete one social media platform. Which one do you want to choose?
God, I'm only really on Instagram. Let's just get rid of it. Let's just drop the gram.
Nice. Like it. Question number 4, you're having a dinner party and can invite 3 people living or dead. Who would you like to invite?
Gosh, probably my late parents. I think seeing things from a different point of view now would be great to have that conversation. And then I'd probably bring in a comedian of some description in case things got a little bit difficult or emotional. Either Jimmy Carr or a Michael McIntyre, depends. Probably McIntyre, because my mum will be present.
Probably a bit more PC as well.
Yes.
No awkward moments. Nice. And fifth question, if people want to get where you are, what would be the best bit of advice you could give them?
Just resilience. Just keep going. Again, just keep pushing. Just if you believe in something, you've got to keep pushing forward. Don't listen to people to put you down. Find your other fellow weirdos. I think look at your community. I think just, resilience, persistence, and find your right people.
I think find your fellow weirdos might be the title of this episode. I like it. Amazing. Brilliant. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it, mate. Really enjoyed that one.
Thank you so much, dude.
Nice one. And thank you to everyone watching at home. So as always, links to everything from this episode will be down in the description. Definitely check out Phil and the Flawed Hero Marathon and the movement. I will very, very likely be there in 2026 as well. So you may well see me there. As always, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, sharing the video, all those kinds of things massively help. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that'd be amazing. And I'll catch you on the next episode.